items that will be introduced immediately. The other items within the CBA dropping from 8 to 7 year extension lengths, from 7 to 6 for UFAs. That stuff will be implemented next off season. So there are going to be some changes moving forward, a couple immediately and a couple that they're going to wait a little bit on. We'll see how that impacts the rest of the season. I'm not really quite sure how it's going to, but I think there will be some impact, especially the playoff cap and the no double retention. Those, I think, will actually significantly impact how teams operate this season and especially at the deadline.
It is. And, we've already seen teams have to sort of adjust their game plans. I'm very curious to see how this impacts teams' abilities to make moves, right? Like, at the end of the day, teams are going to want to find a way to get better. So they're not going to just be like, this is too hard, guys. I don't think we're going to be able to make these trades we want to do because of these rules. Like, no, you just have to find a better way to do your business, right? So I'm curious to see how the adjustments are made to do it and the approach that teams make now. Like, we already saw in some cases where it becomes more about who's available at the deadline. Then it now becomes like, we think the team should trade for X, Y, and Z. Well, teams also have to be willing to trade X, Y, and Z because, certain teams have found they still believe they have a chance to make the playoffs, and the one thing the league has always been against is expanded playoffs because they don't want. In a way, it kind of helps to not have that expanded playoffs because you can see more movement and more teams decide, we're just going to punt on the year. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I do want to say, just to give an example, because I'm not sure we really actually flushed it out what it means, like accruing cap space and how this now no longer is really, not going to be a thing moving forward because of the new changes to the CBA. But essentially, to make it real simple, the salary cap is $95 million. If your salary cap for your players was $92 million, let's say, all the way up until the salary cap, all the way up until the deadline, so you've accrued $3 million in extra cap space. So instead of the cap now for you being technically $95 million, you've accrued that space. You could tack it on, because it averages out at the end of the day. It's a daily average of $95 million in cap. So whatever you've saved of that money, you can attack it so that at the end of the season, it all makes sense at $95.5 million. So basically means you'll have an extra $3 million of a cap ceiling at that point. So instead of it being 95, it would have been 98, and that would have allowed you to now add someone that's of a $6 million salary. It's no longer going to be the case because that accrued cap will not carry over into the playoffs. You still will have to have a $95 million team, and you're not getting them at the reduced cap hit for the 3/4 way. You're getting them at the full pop, for the full cap. So that's kind of the situation there, and why it's going to impact the Leafs in one team, but also everyone else in the NHL. Speaking of the Leafs, though, they made a signing, an extension of a young RFA goaltender. We'll tell you about that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits however you want to play, whether you're looking to bet on player props, building a same-game parlay, or jumping in on some live action as it all unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keep an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit of edge to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you as always. The Maple Leafs have announced that they've extended
goaltender Dennis Hildeby, the Hildebeest, if you will. It's a 3-year extension with an AAV of $840,000. It'll be a two-way deal the first 2 years of the contract, and then it converts to a one-way contract in year 3. So a little bit of a different deal. I guess you could consider that creative in a way. Do you read into the way that it's structured at all and what that could mean for the future of Dennis Hildeby?
Well, I mean, it kind of does two things. It doesn't put the pressure in terms of the Leafs' expectations on him to be a full-time NHLer, right? I mean, they got 2 goalies right now. Mm-hmm. They're going to be, I don't see Dennis Hildeby coming in and saying, I'm going to try to knock Joe Woll or Anthony Stolarz out of a job. Like, it's the real, we know that's not going to happen. So I think it's kind of a bit of that. I know people were like having 2 years of the deal being a two-way. I don't know if that also factors into, his age and how many years he's also played. It's just one of those things where, it kind of lights a little bit of a fire under a guy like Dennis Hildeby, right? You want to be making that NHL money. You don't want to be making the AHL salary. I don't know what the deal works out to in terms of his AHL salary, because that's what the two-way part's kind of all about, right?
It's possible. I would have to go and double check, and I probably should have, but it would take me a little bit longer to figure it out. But it's possible that he still have 2 years left of waiver exemption, and then year 3 he would have to pass through waivers, and it's more likely that a team lets him slip if he's on a one-way deal with guaranteed NHL money as opposed to a two-way deal. That's the possibility as to why I think they could have structured it that way. Again, I would have to check and see how many more years of waiver exemption he has on his deal, but that is something that I know they've done in the past, and it's worked out. I believe they did the same thing with Joseph Woll a couple of years ago. Now, Woll ended up obviously becoming a really good goaltender, and they never had to send him down on waivers, but that was kind of the thought process when they made that deal originally.
So I'm just checking on Puckpedia right now. I don't believe he's still waiver exempt. He is, where's like, now you can also check and see when he becomes waiver eligible, which is what I'm trying to do right now. Here we are. So I think he still has one. He's exempt for 3 of 4 seasons. So I think he has one more season where he is waiver exempt.
Well, that could be this year, and then next year he's also waiver exempt.
Yeah. So the way it works is that you have 4 seasons where you're waiver exempt.
Mm-hmm.
So for him it's either 1 season or 54 NHL games. So I believe as soon as this year is done and he's on a NHL deal, he's no longer going to be waiver exempt. So this year there's not really as much pressure for him to be a full-time NHLer, but come the second and third year of the deal, there's going to be a bit more urgency for him to show, especially if he wants to be on the Leafs.
Well, he this year the crease is locked in, right? Yep. But moving forward, right, he'll have an opportunity to compete. If Anthony Stolarz doesn't sign an extension with the team, and they decide, okay, let's see what Hildeby has, the Hildebeest, I guess he'll have an opportunity at that point. But yeah, so we'll see what happens when it comes to Dennis Hildeby. 73 career games in the American Hockey League. He's got a .253 goals against and a .909 save percentage with 6 shutouts. He has played in 6 NHL games where he's got a .333 goals against and a .878 save percentage in those games at the NHL level. But he does have a chance to play NHL games this year. As of now, is he not penciled in as the